As you can see, we're pretty high up from the valley floor. And I'm taking you to another place, another street, if you will, another path, where it is very, very likely Jesus walked. You'll see what I mean here in just a second. So, again, I greet you, and I say Shalom Aleichem to you. And I think many of you are getting used to how we greet each other. So you would say, Alecha Shalom. Thank you. I want to start with some Bible verses right away to give you an idea where we're at. I'm going into the Gospel of John. And in the Gospel of John, shortly after Jesus was baptized, in John chapter 1 and verse 43, Jesus is now on his way. He wants to go back to the Galilee. And so the next day he purposed to go into the Galilee, and he found Philip. And Jesus said to him, "Follow me." Now Philip was from Bethsaida. So Bethsaida is not too far from here, because indeed we go back to the Sea of Galilee, probably about 30 miles in back of you and to the northern part of the lake. Oh, not even 30 miles, probably 12 miles. Just thought about that. So, Philip was from Bethsaida, the city of Andrew and Peter. Philip found Nathanael and said to him, "We have found him of whom Moses in the law and also the prophets wrote, Jesus of Nazareth, the son of Joseph." Nathanael said to him, "Can any good thing come out of Nazareth?" Philip said to him, "Come and see." At any rate, Nathanael's called, and I want to focus in on Nathanael just for a second, because at the end of John's Gospel, in John 21, Jesus is already resurrected. He is getting close to the time he's going to ascend to the Father. So in John 21 we read, "After these things Jesus manifested himself again to the disciples at the Sea of Tiberias," the Sea of Galilee, just right about 10, 12 miles just behind you. He manifested himself in this way: Simon Peter and Thomas called Didymus, and Nathanael of Cana in the Galilee. So what I wanted to show you is John is helping us understand that there was one of his disciples who was from Cana. That's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. This is like so awesome. I've been looking for this place, or at least try to get to this place. Tourists can't get here. You wouldn't believe the roads we had to drive on to get here in our rental car. I'm just hoping they don't look under the underbody of the car. We are very on a high tell. This place is called Khirbet Kana. And Khirbet Kana, we are probably 10 miles, 9 to 10 miles from Nazareth, which I can see here on my right side across the Netofa Valley. And just behind us to the east, back over here about 5 miles, is the Arab village of Khirbet Kana. And I believe the Palestinians there would probably argue with me vehemently that this can never be Cana. However, when you actually deal with the archaeology, archaeologists believe that this is the likely site of where Jesus changed the water into wine. This is the likely site where Nathanael comes from. Matter of fact, what's interesting is it seems I'm on a street or a walkway of somehow, and I think, matter of fact, no, I believe where I'm at is, as I take a look in terms of the structure, yes, this is where I'm at. I'm in the synagogue. They found the synagogue here dated from Jesus' day. And you can go to the website, go to the links on the website, go to the Beit Midrash, look up water to wine in terms of this whole series on Battle of the Gods, and you will have links to read more about this exact site. Matter of fact, where the camera is, not very far from the camera, is a mikvah. We saw the steps going on into the mikvah. That makes sense here to have it in the synagogue. So I am standing actually in the synagogue. I don't know what the stone is. It could be a natural stone. It could very well be parts of what you would call the floor of the synagogue. So I'm really excited about being here. It's a beautiful view, very tough to climb up here, but we know the story. The story is Jesus changes water into wine. Let's go there into the text. And it's found in John chapter 2. Now I find this very interesting that Nathanael becomes a disciple of Yeshua, of Jesus, right there at the end of chapter 1. And we go all the way to chapter 21. Nathanael's from this town. So we go back to the end of chapter 1 and we go to chapter 2, and where does Jesus go? On the third day, there was a wedding feast in Cana. But Nathanael's from Cana. So I like to speculate. I like to have fun with this. Could it be that Nathanael says, oh, Yeshua, my sister's getting married. Oh, Jesus, a good friend is getting married. Could you come with me? It's such a wonderful time. I want everybody to meet you. I want everybody to meet the Messiah. So, could it be? Jesus stops in Nazareth, picks up his mom, brothers and sisters, and they all come to the wedding. I don't know. I like to speculate and have fun with that. Think about in between the lines and in between the chapters. But anyway, Jesus comes here with his disciples, which is critical, and also his mother. And we know that the wine gave out, and a little bit later, Jesus tells them to fill the water pots with wine. And I'm in John chapter 2, starting at verse 7. And he said, fill the water pots with water. So they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, draw some out now and take it to the head waiter. And they took it to him. And the head waiter tested the water, which had become wine, and did not know where it came from. But the servants who had drawn the water knew. The head waiter called the bridegroom and said to him, every man serves the good wine first. But when the people have drunk freely, then he serves the poorer wine. But you have kept the good wine until now. This beginning of his signs Jesus did at Cana of Galilee, and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. That is such a critical point. Let's take a look at this. We're going to take a look at 2 points. We're in the battle of the gods, so I'm setting something up here. But the first part is we need to take a look, why would his disciples believe in him here? Because he changes water into wine. Well, in the pseudepigrapha, which is Jewish literature written either in Jesus' day or after Jesus' day, we don't know who the writer is. It wasn't Baruch. But in the book, the pseudepigrapha of Baruch, it says when Messiah comes, there will be an abundance of wine. And this is taught in Jesus' day, likely taught in Jesus' day. It's said in Baruch, in the pseudepigrapha, that when Messiah is here, every vine will produce 1,000 branches. Every branch will produce 1,000 clusters. Every cluster will produce 1,000 grapes. So now on one vine you have 1 billion grapes, if you actually do the multiplication. But that's not the end of it. Each grape, this is in Baruch now, this is a rabbinical way of saying there's going to be an abundance when Messiah comes. Let's continue. But each grape, as it so says in Baruch, will produce 10 cores of wine. A core is approximately 10 gallons. So when you multiply it all out, that's 100 billion gallons of wine for each vine. Now, I don't think any Jewish person in Jesus' day believed that there would be 100 billion gallons of wine per vine, but I think it's an exaggeration, which is a good exaggeration, that says when Messiah comes, there will be an abundance. Matter of fact, it was also said in Jesus' day that every man will live under his own vine and his own fig tree. And there would be shalom and peace over all the earth. So that's one aspect of it. And is it this, that he produces this abundance of wine out of nothing, out of water? And they say, oh, this must be the Messiah because of all the rabbinical ways and the rabbinical views of what it was going to be like. But there's another thing. Let's take a look at the second aspect. The second aspect is this. John writes his gospel in Ephesus, or as scholars would say, it's likely he wrote it in Ephesus, in Turkey, in Asia Minor. He didn't write it here. This story in the Gospel of John is only in the Gospel of John. So is it the fact, and I believe this true, John is writing to his audience in Turkey. Turkey, Asia Minor, is a unbelievably fruitful area for the growing of grapes for wine. Even more so here than in the Tufa Valley or any of the valleys here in Israel. So John looks like he's taking the story of this and he says, I get it. Not only is he Messiah, this is my guess, he's probably saying, I know there's going to be an abundance when Messiah comes. I know Jesus is Messiah, but on top of that, something is going on. Something is going on because Jesus, by doing this, John finally gets it. Jesus is coming against one of the ancient gods of Rome and one of the ancient gods of the Greeks. This is amazing. I wonder when John got it. I wonder when John realizes that Jesus is saying there are no other gods. There is only one God. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. The Creator God, the God of the universe. The God who came, and in the book of Acts, Paul says, or Luke is writing and stating Paul's words. Paul is saying to his elders from Ephesus at Miletus, he's saying farewell, and he said, don't you understand that God, not Jesus, he doesn't say Jesus, he says God redeemed his church by his blood. God. He doesn't use the name Jesus, he uses God. Paul is calling Jesus God, so we say the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the God of the Bible, the God of Israel, the God who created all things, the God of the universe, Jesus, Yeshua, our Lord and Savior. He is the one God and the true God. And so something's going on here. John gets it. But we are disassociated from this. We're disassociated from Nazareth. We're disassociated from this land. This is our foundation, the Torah and the prophets. The culture of the Greeks, the culture of Rome, all of this is here. And we need to return to that, to understand which God Jesus is coming against. I want to take you to another place, not far from here. 22 miles as the crow flies, and that would be, if I get my directions correctly, that way, south and east. I want to take you to another place. We're going to walk another street. When we walk that other street, I want to introduce you to a God of the Greeks and the Romans that Jesus is coming against here, maybe in this synagogue. Can you imagine that the wedding feast is here? Or maybe in one of the homes, which is maybe likely, but what if it was such a gigantic wedding that they came here and they wanted to see Yeshua, maybe even preach and talk? I don't know. But listen, I would like you to come with me now. We'll go to another place and continue this story of the battle of the gods. Continue the story about Jesus changing water into wine and coming against the gods of the world. Join with me. Come. We have to go to another place where the ancients walked, where Jesus walked. Well, maybe Jesus wouldn't have walked, but the thing is to go to the place where events actually happen. Bless you. Thank you.